Hi crafters, Amy here, and I have a single layer Miss You card to share with you today. Now this card is using this brand new Dragonflies 3x6 stencil. This is part of the May release at Colorful Life Designs, and it is chock full of awesome stencils. So be sure to check out the rest of the release. I will link it in the video description box below if you expand and scroll down. And be sure to use my coupon, AmyFan10, if you shop and save 10% on your complete order. So here I'm just kind of figuring out placement. This is ultimately the design I go with. You can see here on this card, very bright and colorful, but it is single layer. So I decided to start off by using up my ink that's left over on my brushes. I'm working directly on a card base. This is A2 size 110-pound Classic Crest Solar White from Nina. And this is a great way to just use up that ink that you've left on your brushes. If you don't clean them after every use like me, then this is a fun way to really get a nice, more subdued pastel look on your card, and then not waste the ink and clean your brushes. So it's a win-win-win, right? But here I'm just working through the colors of the rainbow, cleaning up my brushes as I go, and just working through to create this lovely, colorful, but yet subtle background on this card base. So there's no dimension on this card. It will be all single layers, so it'll be easy to ship. No bulk, no extra postage, but I'm just kind of working through in layers, just letting these gorgeous colors blend together. And then I will come back in with the stencil to kind of lay down the detail and the composition of this card. So here I'm pulling out this stencil and I'm lining it up on the right of the card base. Now honestly, you could keep this vertical orientation or you could turn it horizontal like I ended up doing on my design. But at this point, I hadn't planned it out that far yet. I really just kind of wing it. That's usually my style. I get a general idea of the stuff that I want to play with, and then I pull it out and then just start going and then just kind of create as I go. So I did know that I wanted to use a navy color, so I did get out that Catherine Pooler ink pad, and I did tape that down with some post-it tape, and I'm just using my blue blending brush just to kind of lay down the color through this stencil. Now I am kind of deliberately going darker in spots and lighter in others just because, you know, with dragonflies I feel like the translucency of their wings, it's not all one solid color. So I'm kind of deliberately going darker and lighter in spots and laying that down. And then I'm going to remove the magnets and the post-it tape here and show you this amazing detail that you get with stencils. So here next I'm going to figure out what type of card I want to turn it into. I decided to use this Big on You stamp set from Concord and Ninth. I love the big imposing sentiments. I think they're great, and I do have the coordinating dies for those as well. But you can see you have those big stamps, and then there's also a bunch of really sweet, heartfelt sub-sentiments that you can use. So initially I was thinking thank you card, but then as you saw I did end up switching over to the Miss You stamp. But I really like just having this nice bold sentiment on here, coupled with the beautiful design of the dragonflies. I think it works really well together, but I didn't like the composition there, so I ended up deciding to switch to the Miss You because I didn't want the words to kind of overlap the dragonfly at all. And you can see I'm just using the plastic cellophane there to kind of determine if that will work in my layout. And again, I'm still considering going vertical orientation there, but I ended up deciding on keeping it this way, so I think that worked out really well. But I have it loaded up in my mini Misty, so the benefit of using a stamp positioner like this is if you need to stamp it more than once, then you can. So I'm getting it lined up and then coming back in with that same navy ink from Catherine Pooler, and I'm just going to stamp that down directly on the card base. I'm going to use my press it tool from Tailored Expressions to make sure I get a nice even impression with the stamping. And it's gorgeous. You can see it's always darker when you stamp than when you ink blend, so just bear that in mind, especially if you're using Catherine Pooler inks, because they are just so pigmented and rich. So I didn't mind that the sentiment was darker, but if that does bother you, then I guess an option would be maybe doing a double stamp, like stamp your first on a scratch piece of paper and then come back in with like a second generation stamping or something like that, and then it might be closer to the same color blue that you ink blended with. But in my case, I didn't mind that it was darker. I did want to add a little bit of something extra. This is an optional step, but I do have some white gel pens here, and I'm kind of drawing in the veins that you would see on a dragonfly's wings. Now, I'm no artist here. I'm really just kind of winging it. I'm kind of thinking like a leaf and just drawing one line down the center and then just kind of some little fleck lines off of it. But in typical fashion, my gel pen was not working very well, so it was very spotty, but I kind of ended up liking that look. I like that it didn't do continuous thick lines. It kind of just broke up the design and just gave the illusion of some texture and some veining on the wings. So I actually kind of liked that it didn't work out the way that I intended. It was a bit of a happy little accident, to quote Bob Ross. So this is just, like I said, an optional step to add a little something extra to your card if you want to add a little visual interest. So I'm continuing on with that veining, and then I do decide I want to add a little something extra to the Miss You as well. So I will do some polka dots with that portion. So it's just a fun way to really kind of, step it up and add a little something interesting to your card. So I was really pleased with how that turned out, and I hope you enjoy this card. If you think you'll use this idea, let me know. Let me know if you like to use gel pens. I find that they're a well-used item in my craft room. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the card. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you next time. Bye.